I asked when the baby was due. She smiled and said, "I gave birth last night." The words hung in the warm afternoon air like a gentle surprise. I had noticed her round belly earlier that week while she watered the roses next door, but I hadn't wanted to pry. Now here she was on my porch, holding a small basket of fresh-baked muffins, her face glowing with the quiet triumph only new mothers seem to carry. If you're still listening, tell me where you are watching from. Every comment you leave is another mark in this journey, and if this story has touched you, don't forget to hit like so we can reach even further. My name is Bella. I'm a 68-year-old widow living alone in a small house on the edge of Dallas, Texas. This house used to be filled with laughter, the place where my husband, James, and I raised our 2 sons. After James passed away from cancer 12 years ago, I learned to slow down. I tend my garden, cook simple meals, and occasionally teach Bible classes at St. Mary's Church. I didn't have much, but it was enough until old age came knocking and everything grew more expensive with each passing day. The roof began to leak in heavy rains. The water heater groaned and quit without warning. Groceries that once fit neatly in my budget now forced hard choices: medicine or fresh vegetables. I kept the worry to myself, smiling at neighbors, waving from the porch as though nothing had changed. Pride is a stubborn companion in old age. Then came Mia. She and her husband, Daniel, moved into the house next door 6 months ago. Young, quiet, expecting their first child. At first, we exchanged only polite nods. But one morning I found her sitting on her steps, face pale, hand pressed to her lower back. I brought her a glass of iced tea and sat beside her without asking permission. She accepted it with a shaky thank you. That was the beginning. Over the weeks, our conversations grew. She told me about her fears, about labor, about being a good mother, about Daniel working long hours at the hospital. I listened. Sometimes I shared small stories from when my boys were little, how James once tried to help change a diaper and ended up covered in talcum powder, or how our youngest, Ethan, refused to sleep unless I sang Amazing Grace, off-key. Mia laughed easily, and I felt something warm stir inside me that I hadn't felt in years. When her due date approached, I started leaving little things on her porch: a jar of homemade peach jam, a crocheted baby blanket I'd kept for my own children, a note that simply said, "You've got this." She never knew it was me until one evening she caught me placing a small pot of marigolds by her door. "You don't have to do this," she said softly. "I know," I replied, "but I want to." The night she went into labor, I heard the ambulance lights flashing through my curtains. I sat up in bed, hands clasped, whispering prayers I hadn't used since James's final days. Hours later, silence returned. I told myself everything was fine. Still, sleep didn't come. The next afternoon she appeared at my gate, cradling a tiny bundle wrapped in white. Her eyes were tired but bright. "Would you like to meet her?" she asked. I opened the screen door so quickly it banged against the wall. Inside, she placed the baby in my arms. The little girl had a shock of dark hair and cheeks like rose petals. She smelled of milk and newness. "Her name is Lily," Mia said. "After the flowers you planted along our fence last spring. They bloomed the week she arrived." I looked down at the sleeping infant, then up at Mia. Tears blurred my vision. For the first time in years, the house didn't feel empty. It felt alive. In the months that followed, Lily became part of my routine. Mia would bring her over in the late mornings while Daniel slept after night shifts. I'd hold her while Mia rested on my couch, or we'd sit in the garden together, Lily gurgling at the butterflies. I taught Mia how to make James's favorite oatmeal cookies. She taught me how to use her phone to video call my oldest son in Austin, so he could see his new neighbor niece. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky pink, Mia sat beside me on the porch swing. Lily nursed quietly in her arms. "I was scared to move here," Mia confessed. "New city, new house, no family nearby. But then I met you." I patted her hand. "And I was scared of growing older alone. Then I met you." We sat in comfortable silence, listening to crickets and the soft rhythm of Lily's breathing. The house behind us, once too quiet, too full of echoes, now held the sound of new life drifting through the walls. I still tend my garden, still cook, still teach at St. Mary's when they need me. Bills come, and some months are tighter than others. But the roof no longer leaks. Daniel fixed it one weekend with his father-in-law's help. The water heater hums steadily, thanks to a kind neighbor who knew a guy. And on Sunday afternoons, there is always a baby's laugh drifting across the yard. Life has a way of circling back, doesn't it? Just when you think the best chapters are behind you, someone places a newborn in your arms and reminds you that love doesn't retire. It simply waits for the next bloom. If this story reached you tonight, wherever you are watching from, leave a little mark. A like, a comment, a quiet prayer. Because sometimes the smallest gestures keep the light burning for someone who needs it most. My name is Bella. And right now, I'm not alone anymore.